Nigel. Nigel, thank you very much. Simon and team, I have a confession which I've kept to myself since I was an 11-year-old schoolboy back in 1969. I went up to big school, was allowed to wear long trousers for the first time. My mum, like most back then, had little spare money, but had managed to buy me 2 pairs of smart, long black trousers for my first term in the big school of St Custard's, just down the road. Yeah. Well, my first day in the new school actually was going great. I was meeting new friends, meeting some old friends, and having a whizzo time exploring all the new school buildings, chapel, Cadet Force, HQ, the rugger fields, that kind of thing. All was going well until dinner time. While playing in the playground, I fell over and made a hole in the knee of my new trousers. When I arrived home, my mum obviously realised what had happened and went mad at me as I'd only worn them for one day. She then said that Madge, a local lady who was known to be good at sewing, would have to try and repair them, and I'd have to wear the second pair the following day. Well, Father Simon, to say I was unlucky was an understatement, as again, whilst playing with friends at dinner time, in the quad, this time by the prefect's lounge, I fell over and again made a hole in my second pair of new trousers. Of course, in the past, when I fell over, I ended up with a cut knee, but now it seems every time I fell over, I made a hole in my trousers. What is wrong with the quality of trousers these days, I thought. The slightest brush with tarmac and they give up the ghost. What does this say about British manufacturing? The answer to that was I had no idea because I was 11. Back in the late 1960s, early 70s, I always rode my bike to St Custard's, which was a distance of about 1.5 miles. On my journey home, riding my bike, after making this hole in my trousers for the second time, I came across a couple of older boys, Peason and Grabber, to be precise, who blocked my path, which was my route home. I asked in a weedy way, can I go past, please? They just laughed, they scoffed. I then tried passing them on my bike, and one of them pushed me over, and I fell off my bike. It didn't hurt, but it did frighten me. Then they let me go, laughing about my weediness as they went. They were bullies and ruffians both. I think we've come to that conclusion. But it then came to me that when I arrived home with yet another hole in my trousers, I could tell my mum that it wasn't my fault, but it was Grabber and Peason who'd pushed me off my bike. Even though that wasn't what had caused the hole in my trousers. So when I got home, Mum did go mad, but when I told her it wasn't my fault and explained that the bully had pushed me off my bike and that had ripped my trousers, well, I explained all this to my mum and she said, who did it? And I said, it was Grabber. And she said, right, come with me. I'm taking you round to Grabber's house. Now I'm going to show his mum what's happened. So off we went. Because this is the way it happened in the late 60s and early 70s. Now, my mum was one of those people who was never scared of standing up for herself. So after knocking at the door of the bullies, she told Grabber's mother, who was called Mrs. Grabber, in no uncertain terms, what she thought and that she should pay for a new pair of trousers, which she duly did and said she would take the money from her son's bank account.
Wow.
To this day, I have never told anyone the truth, especially the boy who pushed me over. Yes, Grabber. And to make things worse, from the age of 19, Grabber and I have actually been friends. And we still both live in the same town. However, please, can you forgive me, says young Nigel, for this. Well, what's interesting about this school is that everyone will relate to having a hole in the school trousers. And the school uniform, which has been bought at a great price, and there you go, damaged. Day 1, damaged day 2. Blaming on the bullies. Let's see if that's going to be good enough to get any forgiveness from our very tough studio producer, Sister Holly. That's a very stern face on.
I don't know if it's because it's the start of the week, it's a bank holiday, and maybe I'm just feeling a little bit generous. But I have to say, blaming it on the bullies, I'm kind of for, frankly. Peason and Grabber, they were not nice boys. They pushed him off the bike. You know, that's nasty. That could have definitely caused a hole in the trousers, and I think they kind of deserved it. And maybe, actually, Grabber ended up being nicer, and that's how they ended up being friends. And so it all ended well in the end, and so really I think I probably do forgive this one.
And it's very generous, but also very logical. You could have blamed it on the sunshine, could have blamed it on the boogie, but no, you can blame it on grabber and peas and the good times. But also blame it on the bullies. That also works. Brother from another gutter.
What I love about this is that there is every chance that Grabber is listening to this and recognises himself in the story, because you definitely remember having to pay for someone else's trousers out of your pocket money. I certainly would. So I think it's a winner, this one. I'm definitely going to be forgiven, because apart from anything else, should we be applauding someone having the quick thinking sense about them to be able to come up with that wheeze about having pushed over and that's what left you with a hole in your trousers? Yes, we should applaud on today of all days, being it Bank Holiday Monday. Let us definitely applaud that and say definitely